Welcome back to Kings the Pawn Studio. This is your boy Troy. Now it's been a while since you've seen me post anything, but it's around Thanksgiving, and I feel like it's a perfect time to introduce this content to people who don't know any better, who was taught what was taught in school was the right thing when it was actually a lie. But before we get into that, I want to selflessly plug myself in so you guys can go see what I was working with. It's one of the books I wrote. You know? Another one. I ain't gonna hold you long, but it's a couple of them that I did. But without further ado, I want you to check out this one first. Come on, learn with me. Shout out Dane, Calloway.
The Indians who remained hid, or they lied about their race, if they could pass for Caucasian or if they could pass for black. They took on another ethnic identity. But when they did that, they lost their culture.
That's around Thanksgiving. So think about what Thanksgiving means to someone like me who knows the history.
But when they did that, they lost their culture. They had to hide and pretend. So now today, people get really upset and say, well, you're not really Indian. Well, yes, they are.
For real, shout out Dane Calloway. I'm not going to be clicking and talking. I'm going to let this rock. Shout out Dane Calloway.
They had to lie about who they were. They lost, for lack of a better word, their public identity.
Directly that happened to my people I knew.
I'd love to hear everything, because guess what? We don't get to hear. It's hidden. Even like our truth, the fact that African Americans were in America before the Pilgrims. Even like our truth, the fact that African Americans were in America before the Pilgrims. That truth is hidden. That we are actually the Native American.
Time out. Y'all still think Kanye crazy? Let me know in the comments.
Here's how to make over 100 ad creatives in just minutes by using artificial intelligence. First things first, we're going to head over to Ad Creative.
The only way the Narragansetts could participate in elections was by identifying themselves as African Americans. The only way the Narragansetts could participate in elections was by identifying themselves as African Americans. Charles Ernest Hazard confronted officials who enforced this practice. His brother, Joseph, one of the oldest members of the Narragansett Nation, recalls the moment.
Indians couldn't vote, so he went up to the State House and he says, he saw the charter that the Indians can't vote. And he says, you're voting, ain't you? And he says, no. He says, I consider myself a Narragansett Indian. If I vote, I'm voting under Negroes could vote, but not an Indian. And he said, I consider myself a Narragansett, not a black, so I'd like to have that changed. So they did.
Let's just change the name as much as possible to throw you all off so you really don't know what's going on. Let's keep switching the identity to hide the people. Why don't we just keep renaming you? Are you Negro? Oh, no, you're not Negro. No, you're colored. No, you're not colored. You're African American. And this is what they name you. The slavers name you this. Because I know a white guy who grew up in South Africa, and he now lives in America. He is an African American, and more African American than most. Do you see how African American is a misnomer? It's a misnomer. Don't check that box. It's a title given to blacks by democratic slavers. Okay? Let's be real. They want you
Do some research into the real meaning of democratic.
to check the box, just like they want the Anglo-Saxon to check the Caucasian box. It's not true.
Our forefathers weren't the pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us.
Just like they're saying, this black guy got beat to death in Memphis and by these racist cops. Racist cops, huh? All the cops were black. But now it comes out that the guy was screwing around with one of the cops' ex-wives or ex-girlfriends, something like that. It's like, but when they find out that these counties and especially out in California and everything, they have gangs within these law enforcement groups, and they go around and because who's gonna go second guess them? And you wonder why there's over 60% of the prison population is black. I'm not saying African American because they're not African American. They're the Aboriginals. They were here
no such thing.
Because they were the true Native Americans. They're the copper-colored race. Look up Dane Calloway and watch his shows. That man, Dane Calloway on YouTube. Oh my God. I mean, he is fucking beyond brilliant. The research he does. Whoo!
I concur.
He goes way deep into this shit. And when you start realizing, it's like, what they, because you don't have people out there saying, oh, well, it didn't happen to me or this or that. It's like, if it did happen to you, we should fucking look at everything and think, you know what? That happened to us.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what skin color you are, what fucking, I don't care if you have, whatever. If you're a human being, they did it to us.
R.I.P. to that guy, Good music.
Everything we've been taught in the American education system is all a lie. Yes, Native Americans weren't the original people of this land.
Whoa.
We actually took it from black people.
Whoa.
We actually took it from black people.
Whoa.
Everything we've been taught in the American education system is all a lie. Yes, Native Americans weren't the original people of this land.
Shout out Natural Smokey.
Black people.
So it feels like this entire COVID, which we know is just a big lie, this whole thing for the last 2 years, really, is it fair to say, Santos, before you go, that this never would have happened if we would have been just more awake and knew where we were? And this, so their ploy so far has played out. They were able to pull off this COVID thing because we've been programmed for so long. Right?
Yes, brother.
Yeah.
They did a mud flood. They did some plagues. They did it to the Chinese with opium. They did it to the Australians. They did it to the American Indians with smallpox.
Yeah.
They just go into a country, plague the whole place out, and then take over their buildings. New York was already there for thousands of years. San Francisco was there for thousands of years. Los Angeles was there for thousands of years. They were built by the indigenous people who were black and Indians as well.
Whoa.
The black people, they weren't brought over by slaves. They are the original owners of America. Black people.
Wow.
I've been telling people this for years.
They don't come from Africa. They were already here. And Indians as well. Black people, they weren't brought over by slaves. They are the original owners of America. Black people, African Americans. They don't come from Africa. They were already here, and they plagued them out, and they stole the Smithsonian Institute, which is Jesuit controlled, stole their knowledge, stole their history, and now we're just left wondering who we are, where we come from, where we're going. We don't know anything.
Wow.
Because they did a catastrophe on this earth just only a few hundred years ago.
Is it making sense?
It's very important what we're fighting for, because I'm tired, I'm really tired of the manipulation. They manipulate our history books. The history books are not true, it's a lie. That's right, Michael. The history books are lying. The history books are lying. You need to know that. You must know that.
Dane, I'm with motherfucking Coolio right now.
Yo, Dane, I tried to reach out to you several times. I support you, bro. I think you one of the most important black men in America, bro. I think you need to be protected, guarded. You're a treasure,
You just
bro.
fucking said, you know what? You're not an African. You're a Native American. He said this, and I asked him. I said, "Do you know Dane Calloway?" And he said, "Yes."
Of course I do.
Of course he does.
I knew this already. I knew from my grandparents. My grandparents were full blood Native on my father's side, and then my mother's grandfather, which is my great grandfather. My mother's grandfather is full blood Chata.
Yeah.
Not Chata. I know the right pronunciation, and I've been trying to tell niggas all the time what they are, that they need you. You know what I'm saying? We the melanated Neezy from Turtle Island. I know where I'm from.
Turtle Island.
I know where I'm from, brother. I'm trying to spread the word. Motherfuckers listen, but they don't give a fuck. And that's
that part.
That's the shit that the white man. That's that eugenics shit. You know, they done steal that shit in our people so bad that they don't want to think different. You know what I mean?
Look up eugenics.
I support you though, bro.
We support you.
I support you, bro. And, you know, whatever you need. I got soldiers out here too, ready to ride. And they ready to put their money together too. I got niggas that's ready to go buy 1,000 acres.
That part.
And
start a fucking city.
Exactly.
That's what I always be talking about.
Who are you? You don't know. Don't tell me Negro. That's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then? Where did it go? Where did you lose it? Who took it? And how did he take it? What tongue did you speak? How did the man take your tongue? Where is your history? How did the man wipe out your history?
Plecker and his friends convinced the Virginia legislature to adopt very restrictive legislation in 1924. It's called the Racial Integrity Act. With this legislation, it was decreed that there were only two possible categories. One is white, which means a person, you check that you're white if you have white ancestry, Caucasian ancestry, and absolutely nothing else. The other category is everybody else, and that's colored. So this was very hard on Virginia's indigenous community because in a sense it wipes away their identity.
What culture do you consider yourself a part of?
I am Cherokee Native American, born here in Virginia. no African heritage whatsoever and no African relatives. I am all Cherokee Indian.
How come?
You probably are too.
Well, why do you say that?
Because the Indian is black, actually. It's the same people that Columbus met when he got off the boat. We are not African. This is Richmond, Virginia, where the first 20 slaves landed. There's no record of any other slaves landing here. Those 20 Africans that landed here were on a boat that was hijacked by Portuguese. The real black slaves here were Portuguese. Most of the slaves in this country were actually white, not black. My people owned slaves. We weren't slave owners. 96% of the southern slaves were owned by the 5 tribes of the Lakota. I am Cherokee, the largest of the 5 tribes.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
10-4, you have to go.
What you think of that?
I'm just here to make you think.
All right, so that was one of them, right? I want you to check out this other guy. Let me pause this up. Get that out of there. Now I'm new to this guy's content right here. Pardon the ads. Pardon the ads. I'm gonna skip through them. But this is probably his book though. Go check it out. Shout out to the research guy.
Y'all can send those stars in the comments. Y'all go to the comments. You will see a button where you can send stars. I got emails about that. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want to support, I don't care if you support 99 cents. I don't care if you support 50 cents. I don't care if you support 10 cents. Whatever you want to support, y'all can do that. Just go to the comments. You will see the button there. Y'all can send stars to support this researcher. Hey, listen, I'm going to go in today, bro. I'm going to go in today, man, because I see so many comments I see so many things in the comments about what the indigenous people should look like and what they look like to the narrative that's been painted. All right. So the narrative is I've seen a couple of Native Americans say that the American Indians don't have beards. I heard that. I heard them say that there were no black Indians in America. I heard them say
Leave a comment if you heard that too, because I've heard that too.
that. So all of these different descriptions that I see, I'm gonna go in on that and I'm gonna show you guys with sources. Everything I show you is gonna be a source. It's not gonna be my word. I'm gonna go in and show you the sources. Watch this. We're gonna get right to it. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long. Watch this. Let's get the first book. This book, matter of fact, this ain't even a book. This is from a website. Hold on, let me make sure I got the right. This website is from a website called justshaver.com. Let me put it down here. This is called justshaver.com, all right? It says, there are many theories as to why Native Americans have no facial hair, but the most likely explanation is that it's due to a genetic mutation. Native Americans are believed to have descended from East Asian populations who are known to have a gene that causes them to be hairless. You see that? It says they have a genetic mutation that causes them to be hairless, going back to them not having a beard on their face. All right, watch this. It says it's possible that this gene was passed down to Native Americans over the generations, and that's why they don't have any facial hair. So it's a well-known fact that Native Americans, a lot of them, I would say almost all of them, don't have beards at all. A lot of them don't have beards. I'm not saying all of them, because some of them are mixed with other races, and that's where they might get their beards from, but a lot of them don't have beards, all right? And this is important for y'all to pick up on and to understand what I'm about to go into. Shalom, sister. Shalom, sister Angie. This is Halito, everybody. Halito, Wengapo, Osio, Shalom. Wherever you're from, I appreciate y'all for tuning in right now, man. Stay with me, y'all. Stay with me. Stay with me. So here we go. They say Native Americans don't have beards because of their genes. Watch this. Let's go to another. Let's get another source. All right, watch this. This source is coming from the New York Times. All right, let me turn my mic over a little bit. This source is coming from the New York Times. All right, hold on. Let me show y'all this. This says bad news for Columbus. Okay, now this is Professor Alexander von Wuthenau. He is the one who presented a lot of the ancient Negroid sculptures that was in Mexico. You had 2,000-year-old sculptures in Mexico, all right? And he presented a lot of them. He says, Professor Alexander von Wuthenau, an art historian, has brought to public attention numerous Negroid portraits in clay, gold, copper, and copal from ancient and medieval Central and South America. These portraits capture not only the dense, close curl and kink of Negroid hair, the occasional goatee, beard, unknown to the American Indian chin. You see that? It says unknown to the American Indian chin. So here it is, we got another source saying the exact same thing about the American Indians. Now, when they say American Indians, y'all know who they talking about, right? They talking about the Native Americans, because the Native Americans that they're talking about, I appreciate that, Brother Ken, I appreciate that. So the Native Americans that they're talking about is that's because we've been brainwashed with a narrative on how Native Americans look. So that's why he's saying the same thing, unknown to the American Indian chin. You see what I'm saying? The same thing the first source said, all right? So this is what has been brainwashed with us, but it's true. So that's why everybody's saying it. And you have to know, I want you guys to keep this in mind. Do not forget this as we go on in this lesson. Native Americans don't have beards. They have a genetic mutation to where a lot of them, if you look at them, they don't have beards on their face. Y'all need to remember that as we move on. Let's go on. So it says, these portraits capture not only the dense, close curl and kink of Negroid hair. He making sure you understand that these Negroes, and Professor Alexander von Wuthenau, they did carbon dating on these sculptures. A lot of them had woolly hair. I showed y'all that in one of my other, exactly. There you go.
Go check them out.
American Indian and Native American is two different things, but they're just using American Indian just because what we've been brainwashed with. And I'm gonna show y'all that. I'm gonna show y'all what I'm talking about. Stay with me, watch this. So let's move on. We're gonna go to another. This book is called Fair Gods and Stone Faces by Constance Irwin. Okay? Fair Gods and Stone Faces by Constance Irwin. Let me go up and see if now they're showing you a Negroid Olmec. This is a Negroid Olmec. When you go to the bottom, they're gonna tell you, it says a bearded Olmec of Monte Alban. You see that? A bearded Olmec. A bearded Olmec. So what's the first problem we got? We got now a, yes, I'm on YouTube, the research guy. At the research guy, I put it in the chat for you so you can find it. So we have here a bearded Olmec, right? So what did we just read before? We just read before that the Native Americans don't have beards, right? We just read that before. The Native Americans don't have beards. So how is this Olmec bearded? How do this Olmec have a beard on? Why would this Olmec have a beard on his face? Not only that, this Olmec has an afro. As you can see, he got an afro right here, and here goes his beard. You can see the beard on his face. So this book, it says, this is an Old Testament type, and a convex nose and a spatulate beard. Another feature alien to the beardless American Indians. You see that? Another feature alien, meaning they don't have it, to the beardless American Indians. So wait a minute, how you got this Olmec with an afro and a beard? You can clearly see the afro on his head. You got an afro and a beard. Watch this. It says, there are yet unanswered questions of Egon Erwin Kish how to account for such a conglomeration.
An Egyptian thinks the Egyptian god Ra and Assyrian style and Negroid types of omics. In addition, as we have just seen, a bearded face of Semitic aspect. They say this is a Negroid omic. They said that's a Negroid omic with a beard. What? Now we're gonna go to this book. This book is called The Native Races by Hubert Howe Bancroft. I hope this is the one. Let me go here first. Okay, here we go. Let me see. By Hubert Howe Bancroft. Let me make sure it's the right one. Okay, yes. So, this is called The Native Races, Volume 1, by Hubert Howe Bancroft. Watch this. It says the question of the beard has been much mooted. Some travelers asserting that they are bearded like the Turks. They said the American Indians was bearded like the Turks. Let's read on. It says they are an ugly and brutish race, many with Negro profiles. It says many with Negro profiles. They look like Negroes. That's what they saying. It says they are physically an inferior race and have flat, unmeaning features, long, coarse hair, straight black hair, big mouths, and very dark skins. Very dark skin. So all you Native Americans in the comments talking crazy about why the Native Americans and why the indigenous people look like Africans. Well, they describing this book was written hundreds of years ago, before I was born, before your mama was born, before your grandmama was born, before your great-great-grandmama was born, before your great-great-great-great-grandmama was born. They saying these people were black people. Let's read on. It says, large and strong, their color being the same as that of the whole territory. They say through the whole territory of Indians, they had very dark skins and looked like Negroes. It says, it is said of the natives of Sacramento Valley that their growth is short and stunted. They have short, thick necks and clumsy heads. The forehead is low, the nose flat with broad nostrils, the eyes very narrow and showing no intelligence, the cheekbones prominent, and the mouth large. The teeth are white, but they do not stand in even rows. And their heads are covered by short, thick, rough hair. Short, thick, rough hair. What are they talking about? Woolly hair. Woolly hair. That's what they're talking about. Coarse hair. Watch this. It says their color is dirty. Their color is a dirty yellowish brown. Watch this. This race of Indians is probably inferior to all others on the continent. Many of them are diminutive in stature, but they do not lack muscular strength. And we saw some who were tall and well-formed. Their complexion is a dark mahogany. A dark mahogany, or often nearly black. You see that? They said often these tribes were nearly black. All right? Watch this. Let me read on. It says their color often nearly black, their faces round or square with features approximating nearer to the African than the Indian. They say these people are black and look like Negroes. They do not look like Indians. Let me read that again. It says their features approximating nearer to the African than the Indian. Did I say that? These are the scholars saying that. These is people who saw these people for themselves, saying they black, they look like Negroes, they got woolly hair, they don't look like no Native Americans, they look like Africans. Did I say that? Did I say that? Is that my word? No, I'm reading this out of the Native Races, Hubert Howe Bancroft. You can pick that up yourself. You feel me? Now, let's go to the next clip. Let's go to the next source. I'm gonna read out the encyclopedia now. I gotta do this. This is from the Encyclopedia Laudanis, volume 15. It says the Aboriginal unmixed Indians of New Spain bear a general resemblance to those who inhabit Canada, Florida, Peru, and Brazil. They have the same swarthy and copper color. What does swarthy mean? Dark. dark skin, black. That's what swarthy means. You can look that up. It says these Indians have a swarthy copper color, flat and smooth hair, small beard, a small beard. Let's scroll down. It says the Mexicans are more swarthy, meaning dark-skinned, than Indians of Quito and New Granada, who inhabit a climate completely analogous. And we even see that the tribes dispersed to the north of the Rio Gila are less brown than those in the neighborhood of the Kingdom of Guatemala. This deep color continues to the coast nearest to Asia. The Mexicans, particularly those of the Aztec and Ottoman race, have more beard than any of the other Indians in South America. Do you see that? It says the Aztecs got beards. Wait a minute. Let's get some more on how these indigenous people look. Since, you know, we make stuff up and, you know, we just making stuff up and we trying to claim something that's not ours. The scholars done already debunked all of y'all. This is from the same book. This is from a different book now called The Native Races by Hubert Howe Bancroft. It says some ethnologists see in the Californians a stock different from that of any other American race. But the more I dwell upon the subject, the more convinced I am that, except in the broader distinctions, specifically classifications of humanity, are but idle speculations. Their height rarely exceeds 5 feet 8 inches and is more frequently 5 feet 4 or 5 inches. And although strongly they are seldomly symmetrically built, a low retreating forehead, black deep-set eyes, thick bushy eyebrows, salient cheekbones, a nose depressed at the root and somewhat wide-spreading at the nostrils, a large mouth with thick prominent lips, teeth large and white, but not always regular, and rather large ears is the prevailing type. Their complexion is much darker than that of the tribes farther north, often being nearly black. They said these tribes is nearly black. It says, so with their matted, bushy hair, with their matted, meaning dreadlocks, matted, bushy, meaning afro, hair, which is frequently cut short, they present a very uncouth appearance. Do you see that? Is that my writing? No, we're reading that out of the book. These Hubert Howe Bancroft seen these Indians himself. He was with them. The same way James Adair described them. He said they was black skinned too. He said they had cinnamon colored skin. These people who claiming they're indigenous today, they don't have nowhere near cinnamon colored skin. Cinnamon is dark brown. They don't have no cinnamon. I can look at my arm and see cinnamon, definitely see cinnamon colored texture. But if you look at them, they don't have it. And then they turn around and say, well, the reason why we don't look like our ancestors is because of evolution. Well, why we still look like our ancient ancestors? Because so-called black people been the same color for 100,000 years. We've been the same color. Same color, same hair texture, the same people they describing in these books. We look exactly the same. We ain't never changed. But all of a sudden, the reason why y'all don't look like y'all ancestors, they got every excuse in the book. They got more excuses than a man going to jail about why they don't look like these people that's being described in this book. There you go, Ken Stevens. I brought that out years ago about Black Indigenous. That's exactly what it is. Some of our ancestors mixed with these other races, and they took those races and mixed them and bred them out. It's called Black Indigenous. I brought that out a long time ago. It's called Black Indigenous. They take these races and they breed our people out, and then they bring this mixed breeded Black Indigenous individual to the front and say, see, this is the full blood. They take the Negroid
Is it making sense?
Indian, mix them with the other race, and then they bring the mixed version to the front and say, see, this is the full blood right here. That's how they do it. That's how they've been doing it. Watch this. Watch this. So y'all can see where I'm going with this. Y'all can see where I'm going with this video. That's how they do. It's always been like that. It's always been block Miento, and y'all have to understand that. Go look up what block Miento is. Where you put it on the screen. Let me put, okay, there we go, right there. Look up what block Miento is. It's when you take a race, lighten that race up, and then you bring the light mixed version to the front and say, see, this is the full blood. That's what has happened. And they push the originals like you and me to the back and call us African American, Negro, colored, Afro-American. Okay? Watch this. Watch this. Let's go ask you some more. Watch this. Let me go show you some more. I ain't done with you yet. Watch this. This is a book called Crania Americana. Okay? Crania Americana. All right? It says, but many individuals are born entirely without beard or have no hair on their bodies. They're describing some of the other tribes. They say these other tribes, when you read up in this book, they was describing another tribe, and they said many of them is born with no hair or no beard. It says M.D. Galliano in his last expedition to the Straits of Magellan informs us there that there are many old men among the Patagonians with beards. Many men with beards. This is called the Potawatomi Indians. That's who they're talking about. It says, though they are short and by no means bushy, on comparing this assertion with the facts collected by Marchal, Mears, and especially by Boney in the northern temperate zone, we are tempted to believe that the Indians have more and more beard in proportion to their distance from the equator. Watch this. It says, Mr. Schoolcraft mentions beards as common among the Potawatomis and alludes to a very old man of that tribe whose long gray beard would not disgrace a Nazarite. You see that? His long gray beard. And it says a copper-colored skin has been assumed by most writers as a characteristic distinction of the Americans, who have been hence called the copper-colored race. They don't even look copper-colored today. You go and look at all the ones in the comments talking about, I'm indigenous. I mean, you know what? I ain't gonna say nothing, because they say if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it, so I'm not gonna say it. But they say they indigenous, and then when you look at the copper, it says copper color. Now, what y'all gotta remember is, hold on, before I go on, let me show y'all this. What y'all gotta remember is, hold on, let me go and show y'all this. The term copper color came from the dictionary, the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. Okay, that's where that term came from. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all something real quick. I'm gonna put this on the screen. Show y'all this, just so y'all can see. This is from an 1828 Webster's Dictionary, all right? And this dictionary, 1828, this is the oldest dictionary in the Americas. If you find a physical copy of it, buy it online. And it may cost you $500 or $600, but they got definitions in there that will blow your mind. This is the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. You can go to Webster's Dictionary 1828.com. It says American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. Copper-colored races. Now here's what what people will do. They'll say, see, look at my skin. I'm copper-colored. This is what the people who call themselves Native Americans, this is what they'll do today. They'll say, see, I'm copper-colored, and they'll go get a brand new penny from 2003. I'm sorry, from 2023. They'll go get a brand new 2023 penny and put it on their arm and say, see, I'm copper-colored. Not realizing That definition came from 1828. So let's go look at what 1828 copper looks like. That's what you gotta do. You gotta go get 1828 copper. You can't go get the copper that look like you, because if you go get 1828 copper, that's gonna show us exactly what copper looked like in 1828. Watch this. I'm gonna just grab the first one out.
After this, we're gonna dip out of this video because it looked like it's like lagging.
What copper looked like in 1828.
But check him out.
That's a black coin. That is a 1828 copper. It was very dark. It was very dark brown. That's what copper looked like in 1828. Very dark brown. If you're going to teach something, anything, always be able to answer questions when people ask you for them. Always be able to answer questions. Always be able to answer questions. Because think about all the questions that people would ask you when you're teaching this. Go find those answers and be able to give them an answer. Be able to find a solution to whatever it is they're asking. So everything that y'all say, I got an answer for it already. And I already researched it and dug it out to debunk what you're saying. Y'all said American Indians don't have beards. Y'all native, we natives. We don't have beards. You got a beard, so you West African. Well, I just read you in a book, 5, 6 different books of American Indians with beards. Then we read at the beginning, Native Americans don't have beards. So you're right about that. Y'all don't got beards, but what about the tribes that do got beards? So that means you're not an Olmec, not the one we just showed. And I've been on record saying, so don't take my words out of context, because I've been on record saying that the Olmecs were, some of them were of Asian stock. I've been on record saying that.
Shout out to him. That's the research guy. Look him up. Like I said, we're gonna go to my next video I got for you that's lined up. And this is by it's your boy. Shout out again to Dane Calloway. We're gonna bring this one back. He got books too. Go check my books out. If you liking this, hit the like button. Share this. You got a combo going on, a 4-for-1 video. Alright, so we're gonna bring this back. Hope you're enjoying it. Hit the like button.
To watch my exclusive content not featured anywhere on YouTube, log on to my website at imjustheretomakeyoutthink.com/films. Throughout today's society of America, people would say that history was written by the victors, but I would have to disagree with them, merely because only a loser would have the audacity to write a story to make it seem as if they won when they didn't. When they didn't. When they didn't.
I mean, it's really important for us to remember our history. You know, unless you're one of the first Americans, you came from someplace else. Somebody brought you.
Because however much America strays away from the ideals of justice, the goal of America is freedom. Abused and scorned though we may be, our destiny is tied up in the destiny of America. Before the Pilgrim Fathers landed at Plymouth, we were here. Before Jefferson etched across the pages of history the majestic words of the Declaration of Independence, we were here. Before the beautiful words of the Star-Spangled Banner were written, we were here.
That's why they killed him. You know that, right?
White man has done this trick everywhere, here in America, to the Indians. He sent one priest to the Indians in New York and another priest to the Indians in Pennsylvania. And he just both of them would tell lies to both Indians. And the Indians who had never been at war with each other would start beating the tom-tom, the war drum. And then as they got ready to come together and fight, the priest would run in and say, let me be the mediator. The New York Indians, you move out to Minnesota. And the Pennsylvania Indians, you move out to Oklahoma. That would leave the whole state of New York and Pennsylvania for the white man. You see how he does it? You see how he does it?
Black Lives Matter has nothing to do with the original Black American Indians. Black Lives Matter is a propaganda to keep blacks thinking that they're African Americans that came on slave shit. We already know we are waking our people up to let them know that we are the American Indigenous Indians. Black Lives Matter do not represent our people. We do. Jesse Jackson do not represent our people. Barack Obama do not represent our people. We're not African Americans. We're indigenous. An African American is Obama. Why? Because his mother's European and his father's Kenyan. That's an African American. A real Indian, American Indian is me. Both of my parents are American Indians, not from Africa.
Niggas know black people don't crack. Like, black don't crack.
Black don't crack.
It rhymes.
Yeah. What's it inconsistent?
Well, indigenous don't crack. The natives don't crack.
The natives don't crack.
You can see a native and he could be 90 years old and still look like 50. I'm talking for the natives.
Yeah.
I like when
it comes to talking about African Americans, I have no education with that. Period. I don't. I'm not even connecting to that no more. Because that's a system. That's like connecting to, hey, he's a bad guy. You don't hang with him. Oh, hey, I'm gonna find out for myself. I'm not African American at all. My folks is not from Africa. And a lot of people in this room, folks ain't from Africa. Might be a couple, but people just don't understand. I asked my grandma, like, yo, grandma, what's your background? She like, Redfoot and Blacktail Indian. What? Yeah, my mother and my father did. We 100% Indians. That's my other grandma. We got Cherokee in us, and European and Italian, a little Dominican. It's crazy. I'm like, what the fuck? That's why I'm African. Y'all look at me funny, like, nigga, I'm African. Like, you're not though. Like, you're not. 80% of slaves was already here. It was natives. It's crazy.
80. Where you get that number from?
Shit, I just checked the books.
Which book?
Yeah.
My whole laptop full of this shit. Yeah, just for me reading. It's not a solid book like, hey, there's only 1,000 slaves came here. Nah, nigga, you gotta read. You have to literally read. Like, I'm so deep into it, I don't think about a slave ship. I think about what was a slave ship called? Jesus. What the fuck was a slave ship called that Christopher Columbus was on? Who funded that slave ship? Who paid for that boat? What was these folks' race? What was their background?
People don't understand. Black people did not just come from Africa. Black people were already in the States. And people got to do their history to understand black people were already in the States. People don't know that, though. They don't get that part. You know, they don't know that Nat Turner was really an Aborigine. That ain't Africa. You can look at Nat Turner and the depictions of him and know he was an Aborigine. He had a different vibe about him. So, people don't like really know that not all black people did not come from freaking Africa. Because it's going to be very, very difficult for you to make it in that goddamn ship at the bottom of that goddamn ship for 3 months. When the food get low. Do the math. For real. Do the motherfucking math. Seriously, and just ushering everybody in on boats the long goddamn way. They not stopping. Ain't no bathrooms on that motherfucker. Come on now. Come on now. Do the math. That's all you gotta do is do the motherfucking math. For real, for real. The human body won't last that long. You on a boat for 30 days, you ain't eating nothing but fucking slop. I mean, and feces and shit with the motherfucker that's sitting next to you. You gonna die of disease, man. It's gonna be like 3 black people left whose bodies are physically fit enough to be able to withstand all that pressure under the goddamn ship. Come on. Keep that shit.
Can I just end with this one thing? These 4 brothers sitting here, we didn't all come from Africa. And there was a there was a country before 1492, and our history goes way beyond 1492. So you can't start us at 1492. We were always here. We were always here. We were always here.
It's time for us to stop trying to figure out this shit, man. One thing we gotta realize, you can't fly with devils. You don't fly with devils, baby. I'm grateful.
When I was a kid, and I was watching everything Cash Money did, and all of them had each other's names tattooed on them. Man. And this was when I was younger. I didn't understand it, but then when I started going to New Orleans, like, you know, on tour and shit.
We tried.
Wait, the way they are with each other, they love each other a different way than everybody else.
It's Indian.
That's all I
It's Indian territory. It's tribes. Like, people be thinking Indians with the Pocahontas looking. That ain't how Indians look. They look like them people in New Orleans. Louisiana, all over Louisiana. Them Indians, tribes.
Indigenous.
And when you take people that, you can say that, but when you take people in, man, we family. Family.
If you want to talk about indigenous people in America or Native Americans, they always dealt with extraterrestrials. They called them the star people. And yes, they were black. This is where the word Indian comes from the Latin word indigo, okay, which means blue-black, and it's a skin color, okay? And so the Indians that you see today are what you call $5 Indians, okay, which are Caucasians, actually white people, okay? And go look up the Dow's Commission, go read the Dow's rolls. Back in the day, white people was allowing other white people to sign the Dow's rolls, saying that they was Native Americans in exchange for benefits and assistance from the government. So all these Indians that own these casinos and own the land, and they got straight hair, and they look like goddamn Mexicans and Chinese people and white people, those are what you call $5 Indians. Those are descendants of the people who actually took the land, and they acted like they was the people who the land got took from. Black people are the original Indians.
Black people are.
Shout out Pharaoh.
Native Americans. You know, we've had, you know, a lot of proof that, you know, some of us started here in this land. Everybody wasn't brought over from Africa. So, you know, we have to, like you say, unpack all of that and try to, you know, find the true lineage of people in this country, because some, you know, I used to tease family members who would say, you know, I got a little Indian in me. I would think they didn't want to be all the way black. But when I really do the research, a lot of them did have a little Indian in them. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, we want to be counted on all levels, not just, you know, through slave ships. Like I said, you know, we were here before Columbus. So a lot of us, and so we want to make sure that's included and not excluded.
I'm glad that I came back to connect with my brothers and sisters here in America that was here long before Chris and the boys got here, long before America Vespucci, long before all of them people got here. We were already here. I have tribal pride. My father's Blackfoot Native American.
Godfrey, real quick. You know, as a full Nigerian, have you ever heard any like ethnic stories, like Nigerian stories, about people getting robbed by white people? Like I mean, stolen
and brought across to another land? Like, have you ever heard an oral tradition like, don't go out into the fucking by the river at night because you can get jumped by the white man and he'll bring you on a boat across the water?
I never heard any of that. All I heard, like my father would tell me stories, just Nigerian proverbs and stuff that relate to just Africa.
Right, but then so there was never any proverbs or anything that related to, because like if there were millions, right?
Right.
Millions of black people that were so-called taken away from their people, right? Now, as wise as we are with proverbs, right? Like we tell proverbs to teach lessons and shit, right? So wouldn't you want to teach a lesson so that your people would not be stolen and shit like that? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Some sort of African proverb that dealt with not getting kidnapped by the white man.
Right.
Because he'll take you over there on the boat or some shit like that.
Or like this, what story are you familiar with that you were told? And I don't even like to consider you guys Africans because that's a misnomer. You know what I mean? You guys will call yourselves by your native tribe. And there's no problem with that. And actually, that's even better. You don't go to Africa and say, hey, I'm African. Straight up.
No.
That don't happen. But hold on, let me go back to what I was saying. Have you heard of a story? Pick one, any story of a war that took place where some of your kinfolk was captured and brought over to another landmass?
So who are the blacks in America? Who are the black people in America?
The blacks in America have been living here ever since. They are aboriginals. The blacks in America have been living here ever since. They are aboriginals. They are aboriginals. They are aboriginals.
Man, that was powerful. Now, when we continue this, we're going to start here. I have some things to do. Go look it up if you want to, but I'll have more things queued up here for us to look at. Hope you had your pens and pads ready. It's Troy from Kings to Pawns. See you later.